Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Family Jewels, a podcast about family drama, hosted by me, Olga Koch, and my close personal colleague, it's
Charlie Denkin.
Today we are joined by multi-hyphenate
Comedy sensation, I would say. Considering that I didn't see your show, woe is me, but literally every single person told me about it.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough to have seen 2 Grace Jarvis hours. Grace is a writer, a performer, a stand-up. She's from New Zealand. She's from Australia. She's currently here.
She's
in the
here.
UK.
You can't pin me down. I refuse to be from a place.
She's darting. She's moving. She's never standing still.
Probably without a doubt, the comedian's favorite tweeter.
Oh, that's
What an accolade. I think you actually can't do better than that. It is the Oscar of today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I have actually had people stop me on the street to tell me they like my Twitter, which feels crazy. It's
That's
not
amazing.
like a monetizable thing I could like.
But that means you're doing it for the love of the game
But it
and the love
feels
of the
good.
game only.
I'm the only. Everyone is like always talking about Twitter, how it's like a fire. You know, it's awful over there. It's all bad vibes. Which it's not the best. But I only follow just weird freaks.
Yeah.
So I've been
You're
having a
thriving.
great time on there. When I first moved to Melbourne, I like got my friends who are comedians and I like forcibly installed Twitter on their phones because I was like, tweet, you'd be good at it. And they are, and I was not wrong.
Oh.
And now I don't do that, but I do kind of want to forcibly uninstall my Fitness Pal from some of their phones.
Yes, absolutely.
Are people still on my Fitness Pal?
They're back on. It's happening again.
I'm not doing that.
Eating disorders are back.
That I did hear that because when you see low-rise jeans,
It's an absolute.
We're all friends here.
Yeah.
Speaking of eating disorders, look, I am a 32-year-old woman. I have dabbled.
Oh, yeah.
In the words of Helen Bauer, I have a mom.
Yeah.
And I will say, one of the most toxic things I've done for the past 2 days, again, I am not in a good place mentally. I did find out that you could get Ozempic just prescribed to you by Boots Online Doctor. Put Boots Online Doctor. There is no person in the equation.
I have some real. Boots Online Doctor is crazy.
Boots Online Doctor gives you every prescription medicine you could possibly want.
Except like Phenergan, which you can get over the counter in Australia.
What's Phenergan?
It's like promethazine. It's like a.
Oh, thank you. Oh, a
Yeah.
blip is a blob.
to use its street name.
It's I don't know. It's called that.
Yeah,
here.
Schloom is a type of blitz. Yeah.
Have you, since you've been living in the UK, are we allowed to say you live in the UK? Have you noticed things?
I have an official address.
Yes, she's here. She lives here. She has a place to go.
Yes.
Are there like little things you've noticed like that, for instance, that are like New Zealand, Australia specific? For instance, when we go to America, as we have done several times now,
Yeah.
we like to go and peruse the pharmacy offerings. Famously,
Melatonin over the counter.
melatonin over the counter, fantastic. But in America, no codeine over the counter. Why do I know this in so much
Well, we don't have
detail?
codeine over the counter in Australia either. That
It's not codeine. It's cocodamol. There's barely any fucking
There's
codeine.
barely
That's true.
in it.
That's true.
Come
There's
on.
barely in it.
But whitening strips.
True. Teeth whitening strips in America.
There's a certain amount
They
of
actually
peroxide.
work.
actually work here. Pointless.
Well, because
Pointless.
there's a limit to how much amount of peroxide you can get in a whitening strip here in the UK, where there isn't. I don't think there is a limit, or the limit is much higher
they don't
in the US.
care for your health as much, I don't think, in the US.
But you look
But
amazing.
you look incredible.
Yeah. So what are
There's
we
no
buying when we're
fluoride
in-
in the water here? That I learned.
Is that true?
Is there fluoride in
They
the
don't
water?
fluoridate, like they don't do it on purpose. There's like a slight amount of naturally occurring fluoride, but they don't fluoridate the water here.
And that's why we're not brainwashed like those Yanks.
Yeah.
And I was like, guys, it's like dentistry's not on the NHS. This feels like an easy a thing that we could improve.
There's no point putting fluoride in the water. It's full of poop.
Well, yeah, if anything, that'll make it better. It'll clean it up.
So, Grace, we keep saying New Zealand, we keep saying Australia. Would you like to share with our listeners your origin story?
Okay. So I grew up in Australia for the most part. What I have noticed from being in the UK is that people, they're really upset when I don't know where they're from based on their accent. And I'm like,
how dare you?
Why would I know that, lady?
Especially since people will they will sound different being like 50 kilometers from each other.
I'm like very impressed at the number. Like, you have a real diversity of accents that I greatly enjoy, but you can't expect me to know. I don't know where any of the places are. I only figured out like a few days ago that Wales isn't on the bottom. I thought it was on the bottom.
That's Cornwall.
It's nearish.
Bottom is Cornwall.
It's in the lower half.
Yeah, I thought it was like Scotland, England, Wales. I thought it was like a
hierarchy.
Oh,
like a Neapolitan ice cream situation.
Very
sideways
much
to the left,
bolted on the side.
on the end. Yeah. So I'm not across where the things are, let alone what the places are that give you the different accents. And then I'm always like, do you know what part of Australia I'm from my accent? You can't tell. Pronounce Indooroopilly for me. Anyway.
What is that?
It's a suburb in Brisbane.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's got a lot of O's in it.
Shout out.
Shout out. But I grew up mostly in Australia, but I have an entirely New Zealand family. I'm what's known as a quasi, which is a combination of Kiwi and Aussie.
Okay, love. I've never
that's
heard.
so cute.
Oh,
It's a fun way of making us
love that.
feel like we're not quite right on either side of the Tasman.
You're a quasi person.
I'm a quasi. Yeah, exactly. It's not like a great it's not like a great descriptor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a combo. And I grew up mostly in Australia, but with entirely Kiwi family. And I've noticed that I didn't realize that I did this, but in Australia I sort of spent all my life saying the New Zealand word for the thing and then like code switching into the Australian word for the thing. And now I live here, so I say the New Zealand word, the Australian word, and then the British word, and I sound like I'm having a stroke.
Wait, can you give me an example, please?
I'm like, let's go to the dairy corner shop, off license. I got it.
I love that.
Don't worry about me.
Okay, can I sort of dip my fingers into stereotypes for a little second, if you let me?
Yeah.
Is there a sort of archetype for a New Zealand person who moved to Australia, and is there a reverse archetype for an Australian in New Zealand?
I think the kind of offensive stereotype when my parents moved over was like, last one out, shut the door kind of thing of like everyone leaving New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
That you would want to implied that you would like want to leave.
Yeah,
and then,
because there wasn't enough work, which is why they left. But they were like, we didn't leave because we don't like it there. Like, we wish we were there. And there's a lot of like sheep shagging material, which I find funny because
the whales of the Antipodeans.
Everyone thinks that is a new thing to say, and yet they say it about so many places. Like they say it about Scotland, they say it about Ireland, they say it about
every
Wales.
Place has a place they accuse of shagging sheep,
and no one's doing it.
It's that or incest or both.
That's true.
Both. Tasmania also. There's like.
Is it either? You think there's both? It's either sheep or incest, or there are crossover places.
I feel like remote Scotland gets a little bit of both.
Shetland, definitely both. For sure, both. Yeah.
Sheep you're related to.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good crossover of those two bits.
Yeah.
And then my dad was in the army, so I moved around all the time. And that's why when people ask me where I'm from, I have a panic attack. Because I'm like, I don't know.
Reasonable.
Yeah. I was born in a place called Townsville, which is like North Queensland.
Obsessed with the name Townsville?
Yeah, everybody is.
City.
What is it? It's simply a place that is a place.
I didn't think of it until I got here and people were like, Townsville, that's crazy. I'm like, it just says it on my passport.
It's Cityburg.
Yeah.
They like did one of those competitions to name it, and it was like the other ones were too weird. They were like City McCityface, and then they were like, we have to just go with Townsville, please.
Truly. And then
it's the premium destination for all people in a witness protection program.
Townsville, it is a real place.
It's a real place. It's on my passport. Yeah, I guess that's my origin story. I've been saying because I have a New Zealand family, so a lot of stuff is like weird that I thought was just sort of it kind of blended in better in Australia, and then I get here and people are like, we've met Australians before, and you're not, and I'm like, yeah, right, it's a whole thing. I didn't realize until recently that my family calls every sausage dog a Schnitzel von Krumm.
Wait, which is a Kiwi thing or is just a you thing?
There's a New Zealand children's book called Harry McClary.
Yes.
Which is about Harry McClary from Donaldson's Dairy, which
Yes.
again, a dairy is like a corner shop.
Thank you.
Yes.
Which is an off license.
He's a little
Yes.
dog.
Which is a bodega.
Yes. It's a little dog who lives there, and then he has all these friends, and he's like bottomly pots all covered in spots, which is a Dalmatian, and which there's like, I can't remember all of them now, but there's various animals.
You'd really absorbed that. Your family had absorbed it as the name of all animals.
Schnitzel von Krumm with a very low tum.
Oh,
His attachment.
Okay.
oh, that's the cutest thing.
I like it. I like it.
And then my aunt will be like, "Oh, we saw some schnitzels at the park today, like little schnitzel running around." Yeah, that's not really like a New Zealand thing traditionally, but it is. It's
become
your
it's
family
absorbed.
thing.
Yeah.
Can I ask where feels like home?
No.
Shut it down.
I guess Toowoomba, because that's where my parents are, and it's where I lived the longest. But my parents are now thinking about moving back to Canberra, which is where we lived when I was like 5 to 7. And I'm trying to be like chill about it, but I'm also like,
The landlocked city of Australia.
yes.
Are your parents quite good at, with people who like move around a lot to different places, to like making the interior of the house feel the same?
Oh yeah, they were really good at having an autistic child, even though they didn't know that they had one, because they would move to a new place. They would they would never make me get rid of anything when we were moving, because
Right.
that would be just so
Yeah,
traumatic.
why?
Yeah, I'm already don't have any control over the fact that we're going to Tamworth.
I'm bringing my junk.
Yeah, I'm bringing my knickknacks.
Pack the knacks.
And they would
We're
like
going.
set up my room first, and then they would like immediately like set it up like the same as it was, and then immediately enroll me in like a dance school and a scout troop, like in every place. So it was like inbuilt friends. There you go. You know how this works.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
So you have a sister.
I have a sister. Yes.
What's she
Confirmed.
like?
She's 18 months younger than me. We have very few crossover traits, which is crazy. She's a morning person. She loves beige and white and grey and
Neutrals.
yeah.
I love, you speak of her as an acquaintance.
Yeah.
a work colleague.
We don't hang out heaps. I mean, we haven't lived in the same place since I since I left high school, really. But yeah, she recently got a corgi.
What
Cool.
What's the
corgi
corgi's
called?
name
His
in
name
the
is
book?
Basil. I don't think there is a corgi in the book because they're mostly all strays.
Okay.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
and those
he's
little fancy corgis
too-
always have owners.
Corgi too fancy.
The famous corgi in New Zealand is from Foot Rot Flats, and his name is King Charles, and Prince Charles, and he's little posh.
Well, king now, surely.
Yeah, I mean, you were true. He's a posh little corgi who gets to go inside the house and get spoilt. And
yes.
the comic strip is from the perspective of the sheepdog who sleeps in a watered barrel outside, who's like, look at this very fancy corgi.
Oh my god. I love the idea that in New Zealand all political commentary goes through dog
I
comic
mean,
strip.
it doesn't traditionally, but now that I'm talking about it, it's a lot of dog-based stuff. The dog in Foot Rot Flats is just called Dog.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah, he's just Dog. I guess he's a border collie, but he just sort of looks black and white and sort of roundish.
He's the one who lives outside.
Yeah. And then there's a very scary cat called Horse. That's actually fairly common in the Harry McClary books. There's also it's like someone McClaw or like Scarface McClaw is the terrifying like alley cat who
So
real anti-cat
yeah,
sentiment
cats as
They're
villains.
really-
in
yeah.
New Zealand.
I do feel
media.
like there is a sort of just general sort of cats are girls and cats are bad, and then boys are dogs and boys are good.
Yeah, no, that's
Yes?
100%.
Yes, you know
Yeah,
exactly what I'm talking about
for
right
sure,
now.
valid. Even though even people who have cats, they're like, my boy cat's so sweet and so nice, and my girl cat's so aloof. It's like, well,
Yeah.
I think you're projecting.
Also, like even Aristocats are like hoity-toity,
Yeah, the girl
whereas
ones are really
Dalmatians are
hoist-toity.
salt of the earth.
Yeah. It's a pure
An every
bred-
dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, your dad was in the military.
Yes.
Still is in the military.
No.
No, not
He
anymore.
got out when I was in middle school, I would say, and he was in the reserves for a while, but he's not even in the reserves anymore. But he's still a helicopter pilot, which is what he did in the army.
Was he part of the New Zealand Army or the
Both.
Australia? Okay, so how did he get into it?
He joined the New Zealand Army, I think at like 19 or 20, I would say. His dad was also in the New Zealand Army. His dad was a prisoner of war during the Second World War, which I say I've been talking about this on stage, but in New Zealand, when you go overseas and live somewhere else for a few years, which is what I'm doing on the youth mobility visa or working holiday or whatever it used to be called, it's called your OE, your overseas excursion. Which I think is very cute.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's dainty.
It really implies that you are coming back.
Yeah. But you're having a good time while you're there as well.
Oh, yeah, it truly is. You come back, you have children in New Zealand, but you get to have fun. And when I was like coming over here, everyone was really excited for me. Well, my mum's side of the family was really excited because my mum's side of the family, like, they all did their OEs when they were in their 20s. They're psyched. They're excited. They're like, you're going to drink so many pints and, smoke so many fags and snog so many boys.
Do so many off licenses.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't think my mum's side of the family knows me that well. I don't do any of those things. But my dad's side of the family, very stressed because the last time someone on my dad's side of the family went on their OE was my granddad, and he ended up in a prisoner of war camp for 4 years. God.
They were like, we're staying here.
4 years,
now.
Where?
So stressed out. Germany.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I think Belsen? I'm not 100%.
Oh, my goodness.
I didn't Google it before I came over.
But he survived?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Did you, I'm assuming, did you ever speak to him about it?
He died when my dad was 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did your dad speak to him about it?
Yeah.
Or was he like secretive about it?
I think they were they were not good with PTSD at the time.
Yeah, 4 years is crazy. You come out of that.
Yeah. And they did a weird
feeling
thing.
worse for wear, I would imagine.
From what I can tell, he hated the British more than he hated the Germans, which is like, wow.
Is that Stockholm Syndrome?
No, it's because, the Germans, like the sort of local Germans, a lot of them were like sneaking food under the fence type of stuff.
Yeah.
Being like, we're not cool with this. We think this is bad news. And then at the end of the war, the like kind of camps disbanded and the British military came over to be like, all right, time to go back to England. And they were like, we can't walk. We haven't eaten anything for 4 years, essentially. Our friends are dying. And they were like, we're walking back to England. And they were like, we're walking back to England. And then they sort of had to bury a bunch of their friends type of thing.
Oh, my God.
And then they did this weird thing where they tried to, like, reintegrate them into society by putting them in houses in, like, Essex, I think, where they were like, see, you guys can be normal again. And my granddad was like, absolutely not. Get me home to New Zealand right now, immediately.
Oh, my God.
That's crazy.
Do you know the circumstances of his capture?
He was a pilot. And my dad was a pilot. His dad was a pilot. And my sister got an aviation management degree, and I was like, I really thought we weren't doing this.
We're a plane
I thought
family.
we were shutting it
No,
down.
we are.
No, we're in the skies. We can't get out of them. It's not our business up there. But my parents didn't get me diagnosed with anything my entire childhood because my dad was like, what if she wants to fly? And then we got to like 18 and I was like, I think I've made my call. I'm in the arts. We can start writing some stuff down, I reckon. I don't think I was going to pass basic training regardless of if you wrote it down or not.
But he just really wanted to keep that available for you.
Never asking the difference between red and green, just in case. I don't want to know. Don't
We
answer.
have to set up her run exactly as it was day one, but she might want to fly one day.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of autism in the old family history, which also can't write it down because they don't let you fly if you have it, which is crazy because every pilot has autism. And that's why they're so good at it. Like,
of course it is.
It's truly bizarre. They were doing this thing in Australia where they were trying to make it so you had to retake your driver's test if you were autistic, which is truly like just discrimination, and they got shot down pretty fast.
That's crazy.
But I was like, even when they were talking about it, I was like, have you met autistic people? We're better at driving.
Yeah.
We're really good at focusing on a task, man. We're very responsible drivers. We don't get distracted easily.
That is nuts. But it didn't happen.
Well, I think it is happening in Queensland, which, but it is like
rude.
It is like truly just discrimination.
Yeah, 100%.
It is truly just to like put people off getting diagnosed, essentially. They were like, see?
All right, now I want you to fly a plane.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Now I insist.
The fact that the military still doesn't let you join if you have been diagnosed with autism.
Wait, what?
Actually crazy. I actually haven't checked. Maybe they're chill with it now. Surely they'd have to get chill with it now because people have gotten less chill with the military. So you'd have to make... They got chill with gay people.
Surely, and more people are being diagnosed.
And women just to open their pool. Yeah, well, exactly.
You're going to shut down the exact crossover of men who are interested in army things and autistic men?
Literally. Men who are fascinated by, like, machines and engines and, like...
I'm Googling
Yeah,
this.
it's a no from me.
Okay.
Wait, look, guess what I found out yesterday, though? My brother had a family tree, like, got someone to, like, do something in our family tree, like, find some info. My great-grandfather was in a regiment in World War I that was specifically for men between 5 foot and 5'3".
Yeah, they really had a lot of stuff that they thought was a disability back then.
He was
Wait,
in the
say that again,
he was in the little tiny men regiment. They were, like, for men between 5 foot and 5'3" specifically, and it's because they weren't allowed to join the army, but then when stuff got really bad at the end of World War I, they were like, we'll take you, but all the little ones got to be together.
The
It's
Short
like
King Regiment.
It's like Sabrina Carpenter's backup dancers. They can't make her look too small.
But they do maybe they do go on little mini missions.
I mean, you have
Sneak
to assume
through?
they did,
Because
like...
they're below
wiggling
the
through
eyesight
stuff.
of all the enemy soldiers. They're just
Can't see
walking
these
comfortably.
people. They're just under... It's just down here.
That's him.
Yeah, no, because when the First World War conscription was like... They had rules. They were like, if you're below 6 foot,
Yeah.
you can't join. And then...
Which is a crazy place to start.
Oh, and the overall population average height of Australia dropped by like half a foot because everyone was dead. They killed everybody above 6 foot. The tall people didn't come back for like 50 years.
They did not think that through.
They did not think that through at all. And then by the time the second one was like, okay, well, we can't be choosy now.
Shorties first. Let's go.
Baffling behavior. I come from like a military family. My sister and I are both named after New Zealand military heroes.
Oh wow! Who's Grace? Grace, the military hero.
Well, Grace is fortunately we both have them as our second names.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm Grace Naramu Lee Jarvis. I'm named after the first Māori recipient of the Victoria Cross. Oh, wow. Second Lieutenant Moana Nui Akiwa Naramu VC, who was killed in Tunisia during the Second World War, but was gallant in his death, so he got given a medal, the highest medal.
What is being gallant in the death?
Brave.
Like brave.
But how can you
Brave and
measure
stupid.
that?
Heroic.
Basically, people come back and go, this guy was like really...
Died in a classy way?
He died good.
Yeah, he was really brave.
Okay.
He was in this, they were in this kind of fight where they were going up a hill and they were trying to get the, German soldiers were on the other side of this, they were basically fighting a literal uphill battle.
Oh, wow.
And he kept being he kept getting shot and continuing up the hill.
Oh, my God.
And then he, got to the top and did, the haka and was, throwing rocks at the Germans kind of thing.
Okay, that is gallant. That is gallant.
And he was shot and killed immediately. But, yeah, brave guy. And then my granddad gave his, whānau, his family, his medal. And they were like, we're connected. And my dad named me after him so that I have to do this spiel.
Yeah, that's a good way to make you
People
explain
can
it.
never forget him because I have to do the spiel. When they look at my passport, they're like, where are you from? The unfortunate thing is doctors think that they are expecting a brown girl because my middle name is Naramu.
Okay, yeah. They're not wrong.
Yeah, it's not. My sister's middle name is Malone, who was also a New Zealand military hero, but she doesn't have to do a spiel.
What did Malone do?
He was involved at the Gallipoli. He was involved with the New Zealand battalion at Gallipoli during the First World War. And the thing with in Australia, we have this thing called ANZACs, which is the Australian New Zealand Army Corps.
And a cookie.
Yeah, well, that's what they had. Very few ingredients, so they were oats and golden syrup. That's it.
Yeah,
and they're not wrong. Can I just say?
Yum.
They're
It's a good
actually
cookie.
spot on about how delicious those biscuits are. But there were way more Australian deaths at Gallipoli than there were New Zealand deaths, I think, because New Zealand was sort of coming around on a different bit, and partially Malone and a couple of other guys were like, I don't know about this, guys. I just don't think this is a good idea. Because the British were like, just run at the Turkish with empty bayonets. So they had a sword and no bullets. And they were like, it'll threaten them. So we just like just rounds and rounds of Australian soldiers getting slaughtered. And because the Turkish soldiers had bullets.
But then this
so they
guy
were
was
essentially
like,
fighting like a medieval battle.
Truly. And the British were like, let's keep trying it. Because they didn't think we were real people. So they were like, we were disposable.
Oh my God.
And yet we keep following you into wars. I just do not understand. That's like a whole part of our like national identity is the fact that the British didn't care about us at all and thought we were disposable. And yet every time there's a war, off we go. We're following. We're part of this.
Oh man.
Men love war. I've said it before. I'll say it again.
They can't stop having them.
Men love war.
They love it so much.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first. So was your mom involved in the military at all?
No. My mom's a librarian.
Meet?
Oh, they met. This is a good story actually. My parents met. I don't know if you guys have it. Do you guys have you have like the Duke of Edinburgh?
Yeah.
Mm.
Is there like a young people on a sailing boat program?
I did a thing called CCF, which was at my school, which was like a fake Army Navy, and so I was in like the fake Navy.
Oh, you were in
Were you
cadets.
actually?
Yeah, for like 4 years, because day one I just didn't think about it, and I was like, I guess I'll do this, and I didn't realize that some people were like doing volunteering instead. So all my friends were like helping out in an old age home for 2 hours.
Are you in
I
the
was
fake
like on a
Navy?
boat
You
with
learning
a
how
gun.
to spin a bayonet.
And I was so bad at it, and everyone always knew I was so bad at it for 4 years. I'm not even kidding.
How have I never heard about this?
Did you have a little
Yeah,
blue
I had
hat?
a beret.
Yeah.
I had like the army trousers. I had
Yeah.
navy t-shirt and navy jumper, and I think like an army coat. We would like go and camp,
Yeah.
and then my mum would always give me like a big thing of Haribo to take with me, because I'd be like, I think I'm gonna die, and she was like, have this.
Wait, okay, so how much time are you spending on water? Can you sail a boat?
I
Can you
couldn't-
die knots?
I would go on boats, and then
Okay.
there were boys who cared about it all a lot, and so they would do all the things. I can't remember anything now.
No.
But I do just remember often, it was just like I was like always in a place with a boy who was like 2 years older than me or something, because they were like the captains of the Navy, and then it would be like me and a mate
The
sitting
military
somewhere.
and the scouts. Well, the scouts is kind of military based anyway, but it's all very hierarchy
Yeah.
based. Yeah.
And it was like, I was like, I'm not going to fight this guy on this. Like, you sail the boat, buddy. I'll sit on the boat.
I have to respect him because he's a year older than me and he has a different colored bar on his arm.
That's that. We've all decided that's the game we're
Yeah,
playing, and I
truly.
don't care to disrupt this.
Yeah,
game.
like, I mean, we don't have time to get into it.
But yes, I did a little boat sailing.
Well, in Australia, it's not like quite like that because we had like cadets, which is like an in-school military propaganda program. Where
Yes,
they,
I think that's more like
teach
what
you how
this
to
is.
spin it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Which I
do you do
didn't do.
hazing rituals? Do you do Jack Nicholson, you can't handle the truth?
It wasn't that fun, or our one wasn't.
I think the boys' school in my town probably did do stuff like that,
Okay.
but the girls who were in it, it wasn't so much hazing as I'm like, oh, you were sexually assaulted. And they're like, yeah, no, we know. We're not going to think about it till we graduate, I think. And I'm like, good call. Just press it down, I reckon. Don't get too
I love
into
education.
it. You got to make it through. But I was in the Scouts because my dad was in the Scouts, and my dad always says he put me in the Scouts because the Scouts kept him out of jail. But he joined the Scouts when he was like 15. His dad had just died. He was in Gisborne in New Zealand where they have like a really big gang.
Yeah, a different situation.
And I was 6. I couldn't even reach.
Like, you're going to be even more out of jail than me.
I don't have any criminal tendencies.
We gotta keep this girl out of jail.
Scouts co-ed all the way
Yes,
through.
yeah.
Is Scouts like Girl Scouts?
Yeah, but mine was co-ed. Yeah, Australian Scouts is just we're all in there.
Do you
That's
do the
better.
badges?
Yeah. Oh, I
fun.
had so many badges.
I believe it.
I was big into badges, man. It's crazy. And I have
Nice to
like
get a badge.
box of like a blanket and all my shirts and like all my badges. And
yes.
I'm getting back into badges actually.
Do you have an equivalent of Girl Scout cookies?
No, we used to collect up everyone's glass bottles to take to the recycling bank,
Aw.
or we would get on the back of a ute and chuck phone books. Like we would deliver phone books.
Okay. Is there?
That sounds like
there-
a job adult should do.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it just sound like an adult? So much of the stuff I did in the Scouts. Like, I went past a cafe the other day that was like, it was called Lantana. And I was like, it was like an Australian cafe. And I was like, why is it called Lantana? Because I spent days of my life as a Scout just in the bush alone with a saw and like a pot of poison, sawing down the lantana, poisoning the stump so it couldn't grow back because it's invasive. I spent days
You
of
were
my
out there
life
doing
for
horticulture.
free.
Again, that's someone's
You were
job.
a professional
That's a
arborist.
job.
100% someone's job. I have a saw and just a little paintbrush of poison, just out in the sun. No one, like, I'm not
Just staying out of jail.
just so out of jail.
You can't have any of this
On the
codeine, but you
weekend.
can have all of this tree poison.
Don't lick the tree
And
poison.
a saw. At one point, I went to a
That's
camp
crazy.
where they were like, I needed to do soap carving or something. And they gave me a scalpel and a bar of soap and just left me alone.
Oh, my Lord.
And I immediately nearly cut my thumb off. And I had to go into a first aid demonstration, bleeding on the floor. And the lady in charge of it was like, excellent.
They planned it. They planned it.
They
That was
start the
plan.
demonstration
Like,
by giving
"Great."
everyone a bar of soap and a knife, and they're like, "Let's find out how to dress a wound."
Oh my God. So yeah, the Scouts is crazy.
When the Scouts was started, did it have some military
Yeah, so it
designation
started
by
by
design?
a guy named Baden Powell, who was in the British military, and he based it on like Zulu warriors base. He was in Africa, and it was like boys who were running between camps essentially, and so it was like boys who wanted to join the military but couldn't yet. He made the Scouts.
Oh, like the military junior.
So that they
Child
be prepared.
soldiers.
Right.
It's propaganda. It's fucked up. It's very like, yeah, you do like, you have to go on parade at the beginning and like salute the flag.
Okay, stop. It's like a
And
little
do-
bit formal. I like it.
Cadet Kelly.
Yeah. Oh my God, I
Say the-
loved Cadet
It's
a
Kelly.
good movie.
Say the
Did you ever
Scout
do that thing?
Promise. Oh yeah.
Isn't that what she's doing in Cadet Kelly?
Yeah.
What's that called?
It's a really gay-coded film.
Oh yeah.
I'm a One-Girl Revolution.
Isn't she
Kirsty
wearing
Carson Romano and
Pink
Hilary Duff.
Camo in it? No.
No, I think that may be the poster.
Okay. Well,
But
yeah,
she is like
that's
in a military
gay
academy and she
coded
does
for
that
sure.
thing.
She is really just trying to win the dance contest at the military academy, isn't she?
Is it a dance?
What is it?
It's a very lesbian
Drill?
version.
It's drill. That's what it is.
A drill. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's like flooding back in a very overwhelming way.
You know,
I'm like
know.
really
You've done it.
remembering it.
But basically, my parents met because they were in Australia. They have a program. It's called Young Endeavour, and it's like you're out of high school, but it's like kind of 18, 19, 20, and you go for like 6 weeks on a big sailboat, and they teach you how to like run the rigging and like, you know.
Okay, that sounds sexy as
they
hell.
are training up the young people of this nation to be survivalists at
There's-
every opportunity.
What do
There's
they
so
know
much
that
stuff
we don't?
Where I'm like, this is not. I thought this was so normal because like that's what my parents were doing when they were kids. It's what I was doing when I was a kid. I just figured that's what everyone was doing when they were a kid. Even like I was into like so many like musicals where it was like I spent the whole of my like school holidays doing a musical, and then I recently was like, what were you doing, to my sister, and she was like, just resting, just hanging out.
Why was I in a full-scale production of Cats?
Literally, why am I in Beauty and the Beast right now?
She was just chilling.
She was like just going to the movies and like hanging out with her friends.
Had you expressed at some point you wanted to do this, or your parents were just like, she
No,
will
I
like
loved
this?
it. I wanted to do musical theater.
You're
like,
there in an ice bath full of bunions.
just like, but just to think about the fact that my sister was just having a normal time, and I was like, it was like a thing where in 2 weeks we would do a production.
Oh, love,
And
love,
so it
love,
was like,
love.
That sounds
it was
fun.
really like
That's a great summer. I would do
rigorous.
that now.
It was like the winter holidays. It was 2 weeks. We were in. There were 100 kids, which means
Great.
most of them were playing the sea. When we did the Little Mermaid, it was a lot of people just in blue, just sort of in
No
the
small
background.
roles, just small actors.
Just so much, and like it was a crazy environment because I grew up in like the Bible Belt of Australia, so it's like I think it's the largest like congregation of different cults in a geographical area.
Oh my God, Charlie!
love
Charlie
it.
loves a
Love
cult.
It was freaks galore.
Yes.
So it was like youth theatre in Toowoomba is just queer neurodivergent kids on the verge of suicide, and the most religious children you've ever met and we're just hanging out.
Yes!
We're just hanging out all the time. It was a crazy environment. I was like, oh, half the people here don't think that I should have rights, but we're just doing a kick line together.
But we all love The Little Mermaid.
Just
We all love to sing and dance.
so baffling. There was a family of like very, very Catholic kids. There was 12 of them. They turned up like in a bus. One of them, I was a silly girl in Beauty and the Beast, which is like essentially town whore, but in Disney. I was just
At the beginning,
holding onto Gaston's
when they're
arm
like,
the whole
oh yeah, they
time.
love Gaston.
Yeah, that's my role. Silly girl 1, if you please.
Oh my god, yes, role of a lifetime.
And Gaston was part of that incredibly Catholic family of 12 of them.
What an odd casting.
There were so many of them, and they, we all just sort of hung
Feels
out.
charged. That casting feels charged.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was crazy. And at one point I made a joke because there were so many of them and they got here on like a bus and I was like, wait, how do you fit them all in the house? You've got so many siblings. Do you sleep in drawers or something? And I was joking. And the Catholic, child I was talking to was like, yeah, we do. Like they had like a drawer pull out setup where they had to put their beds back into the wall during the day. Shit was crazy. It was a very weird dynamic.
All right, you were learning some stuff
Oh,
about
so much
the
stuff.
world.
Yeah.
A very small part of it.
Just like all the queer kids being like, well, we know how they feel about abortion. Like, we should keep our mouths
Could you
shut.
clock?
Oh, 100%. It was like a really interesting dynamic.
Imagine being a gay Christian and showing up and seeing you and
And
being
we'd
like,
be like,
hell yeah, best 2 weeks of my life.
Vibing, being like, which side are you on, guys?
So exciting.
And like I didn't realize I was clocking it at the time until when I look back at it, I'm like, oh, that's what it was. That's why the conversation was weird with certain people in the group.
Yeah.
But we were just spent 2 weeks together, like all day, every day, and then we did a musical. Like it was.
That is so funny.
Anyway,
It's a movie. Sounds like a movie.
Yeah.
I thought everyone was doing every kind of sort of group extracurricular military propaganda activities, and because my parents were doing that, and so I didn't think it was not a weird thing to be doing. So my parents met in Australia, it's called the Young Endeavour program, where it's like 6 weeks on a boat, like tying knots, sleeping in hammocks, and
Cool.
that business.
That's
In
not
New
fun.
Zealand, it's called the Spirit of New Zealand.
Okay. And it's very different.
Yeah. I don't know which one started first. I don't know. It's like basically it's that kind of program.
It's not propaganda. It's just called the Spirit of New Zealand.
Yeah. I think my dad was already in the army or about to join, and my mum was like between her first and second year of uni, and she was doing this, program of being on a boat for 6 weeks, and she met my dad, and they fell in love, and then
That's sweet. That's a nice
But
place to be.
do we know how they saw each other? Was it like day one on this program?
I don't know. I think they just like got friendly with each other. I vaguely remember a story of my mum falling on him, but I don't
Okay.
know if I've made that up.
Oh, I love that. No, I wish it were true.
Boats
I'm
are
just-
wobbly. Could happen.
I
Yeah,
know. Well,
I've decided
yes.
it's true.
When I went on the pill, my mum was like, just so you know, it doesn't work if you throw up. And I was like, yeah, no, it says it on the box. She's like, people did not know it on the Spirit of New Zealand, and everyone was seasick, and people got pregnant. And I was like, oh, no!
I thought that the ending to that was going to be it doesn't work on a boat.
I mean, if you're throwing up, it
Technically.
doesn't. My mum, yeah.
Wait, that's amazing.
Yeah, she was just like, fun fact. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, cool.
What an insight into your parent as full adult who just existed in the world, like as
It's like a swingers cruise
as
for
a
youth.
person who is like your age or younger than you are now and just knows a bit of information.
Just, yeah, you're like, oh, right.
Yeah.
That's not how everyone else would have learned that lesson. But, yeah, okay, cool.
That checks out.
And then I think they got back to land, and my dad was going to Wairau to do, Trentham, maybe, to do whatever kind of training he had to be doing. And my mum was like, I'm going to live in Japan for a year. And he was like,
Okay, that's so cool.
bye. And he was like, oh, no. I guess I'll see you in a year. And yeah.
And they did.
Did they keep in touch over the year?
Yeah, I think so.
What was
What-
she doing in Japan?
She was doing her, like, year abroad uni kind of thing. She did
So cool.
double major of, like, international relations and Japanese, I think.
Great degree.
That is so cool. Where in
Yeah.
Japan did you go?
can't remember now. I have a lot of vague Japanese souvenirs. I don't think it was Tokyo, but it was a big city, I think. Or outside a big city.
And they were sort of writing to each other in this time?
Yes. And I imagine phone calling of some sort. There's a picture of my mum that I love that's just been on like the kind of mantle in our various houses my whole life. And she has this very chic blonde bob that's like curled on, very like Scully from X-Files. And she's got like a teal, it looks like an evening dress because it's kind of like an off-the-shoulder like situation here, teal like silk situation. And it's like a professional photo. And I thought it was like from a military ball or like a formal or, you know, some sort of occasion. And I was like, it's a beautiful picture, but it got kind of stuck to the print got stuck to the glass. So I took it to someone to get it like refixed. And my mum was like, I was like, when's this photo from? And she was like, oh, I got a photo shoot done in Japan to send to your dad.
Oh, I love that.
Wearing a little off-the-shoulder number?
Well, it wasn't even a dress, it turns out. It was just a piece of fabric they draped over
Oh, my
her.
goodness.
Oh my gosh, she did a boudoir photo
It was like
shoot
a
for him.
boudoir photo shoot. But it was like a very classy, everything was covered kind of one.
Wait,
but it was
that's
like
so sexy.
seductive, you know? Yeah.
Love that.
And then it was just on the mantelpiece.
Get it, girl. Yeah.
We used to have class.
Right?
We used to have class.
That's romance.
Yeah.
Oh,
Get
man.
a professional photographer involved.
Yeah, sorry, I can't do Thursday. I'm getting my nudes taken.
Yes. She was not naked. She was
Yes,
like
but
that
there
on
was
the record.
the titillation.
Yeah,
we love that.
The idea of it. Yeah, that was the
Okay, obsessed. Love.
So sexy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that.
Isn't it? It's a good photo. I mean, I would also put it up.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I take nudes mostly for me.
A really good, maybe I would advise, like a graduation gift from university should be like a really good boudoir shoot.
Yes.
Because you're never going to look
Mom!
as good again. Get out there and get your boudoir pics. And then for your whole life, you have yourself looking
You can put
at
it
your
up
absolute prime.
on the wall.
Yeah.
Glamorous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glamour shots everywhere.
Yeah. It's a good idea.
Honestly, I always remember we as a community, the three of us here, have lived through the complete cultural 180 towards nudes, right? Because when Vanessa Hudgens' nudes leaked, she got paid less for High School Musical 2 than everybody else because she was punished for nudes that were
very
leaked.
judgmental.
She
What?
did not leak them; they were leaked. Okay.
She was just punished for taking them.
Yes, for taking nude photos, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And then somewhere in the middle, Rihanna's news got leaked, and instead of being ashamed of it, she just went, if you look as good as me, you should be taking pictures. And that kind of was a controversial way to address it. And then Jennifer Lawrence's were hacked in the iCloud hack, and everyone was like, that's evil, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
And that all happened within, I want to say, 5 to 10 years of each other.
Yeah.
And now in that Schitt's Creek episode, Catherine O'Hara tells Alexis, she goes, take as many pictures of your body as you can. You're never going to be this young.
Yeah. I was thinking about this a little bit last night because I watched that Netflix film, Woman of the Hour or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. But there's someone in it and she's an actor and she's like auditioning.
It's crazy. I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen all the like promo. It's like very 70s, except Anna Kendrick's hair looks like 2011.
No, she's just like, I want my hair how it is. She's like, I'm the
She's
star,
the
I'm the
director,
director.
yeah.
we couldn't do a wig or something.
It was like,
Have you seen the 70s? There was all hair.
I think she did it how she wanted. I think it's like for a first film, it's good. And also it's just like it's a little bit of a thin story. It's like a tweet, but it is also just like, but it is a good
Sometimes
depiction.
it's a tweet.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like a tweet made
That's the
writ
most
large.
important writing lesson I ever learned. Sometimes it's a tweet.
There we go. From the master herself.
But
But
why
she...
isn't this working on stage? Because it's a tweet.
It's a tweet, and the thing is, for a tweet, it was good, and also it did depict like it's sort of a a serial killery thing, and it's like from a female perspective, and really you don't see that very often, and I like to see it, and I thought it was smart. But there's like an actress in it at one point who's like, I don't want to do nude, and everyone's like, ugh, because it's obviously the 70s or wherever it's at.
Sure.
And then I was thinking
So
about
they call her a prude.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, even when I was a teenager, where did I get the idea that if it was like an actress, me, not an actor, nothing to do with acting, if an actress was like, I wouldn't do nude stuff, I was like, not a very good actress then. Do you know what I mean? Not serious
Really?
about her craft.
Yeah, it's weird how effectively like men in charge of the entertainment industry tricked you into
Just
being
drilled in there.
oh, it's their fault that they don't want to do so. And it's like,
it's completely reasonable to not want to
be
naked
they
on
shouldn't
camera.
have to. And also the idea that anyone can say no to it is insane because they just won't get the job.
Literally.
They will just hire someone who can say no to, like, who won't say no. It is actually like very much indicative of the way that we treat women as disposable.
Completely.
Oh.
I feel like it's changed a little bit, but
And
but
the thing is,
in both ways, as you say it, it's like Nicola Coughlan being like, "Don't say I'm brave, I have amazing tits" on Bridgerton. It's
Right.
like, it's all to play for.
But even in those like smart art house movies when women are nude, I mean, you learn about it. And then Salma Hayek didn't want to do nudity in Frida, and she was forced to by Harvey Weinstein.
100%.
And
Even,
that
like,
was not narratively necessary.
There are so many like famous scenes from like movies that are like, oh, this is like incredible film. It won an Oscar, and this scene is so iconic. And you hear about the actress doing it, and you're like, oh no,
Yeah,
you're
like,
a victim.
The worst day of someone's life.
God.
Cool. Oh my God, I watched. Okay, sorry, we will return from movies shortly, but I watched the most deranged film I've ever seen in my entire life on Netflix the other day. It's from like 2005 or something, and it's called Rumor Has It.
Oh my God, it's insane. It's about like The Graduate?
Yeah. The premise of this film, which is a Jennifer Aniston movie, is that
Jennifer Aniston, by the way, she's just doing whatever she wants.
Love her.
And I love that.
Fantastic. Also,
Have you seen Dumplin'?
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite movies ever made.
Oh,
so
wow,
good.
okay.
Yes. She's not bad in this film.
My
She's
flatmate
not the
and
problem.
I at the time watched it, I would say 8 times.
You
We
like,
loved it.
really, really loved it.
Yeah.
It was a good
It
film.
was really good.
8 times is a lot, though.
Yeah. We liked it. We really liked Dolly Parton also.
Yeah.
So that was,
it like
it
brought a
was
lot of
fun.
things together.
And there was one of the beauty queens who doesn't want to be, one of the protest beauty queens is like gay as fuck.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, look at her.
You just are like, yes.
And there's a scene
good.
where she like holds hands with one of the other girls as they're leaving, and we're like, they are fucking for sure. Like it's a young adult novel. Like they're not. We're putting a lot
But you
of
can't
background
stop
detail
me
in.
filling in the gaps.
No, you cannot.
Yeah, this, I don't think, well, maybe if you're an Aniston fan, you'd like this film. But the premise, in brief, is that Jennifer Aniston starts to think / puts together that possibly her grandmother is the woman from the film The Graduate.
So she is Mrs. Robinson.
The real life Mrs. Robinson.
Okay.
And then she goes, spoiler alert, she goes to find the real life Dustin Hoffman, I can't remember what his name is in it. And it turns out he did sleep with her grandmother and her mom, and then he sleeps with her.
Yeah, baby, collect them all.
Yes.
That's the whole film.
That-
Nothing else happens.
That's awesome. That rules.
Which reminds me, didn't they say that Kanye West asked to have sex with his wife's mom in front of his wife? So it's a more common fantasy than you'd think, ladies.
Family
Yeah,
jewels.
it's really
Family jewel. We're back.
Family jewels. We looped it around.
keep
was-
it in the family.
It was a long road, but we came
We
back.
got there. We haven't really even touched on yet your family. Do you know anything about your family, like far back in
How
time?
did they arrive in New Zealand?
Okay, so from what I can tell, we're Scottish, English, and Nova Scotian, which is Scottish twice, because Nova Scotia literally means New Scotland, and they love bagpipes over there. But my grandma, my parents were born in New Zealand. Their parents were born in New Zealand. I think my dad's dad was born in New Zealand, but he married a Nova Scotian woman who he met because he was in the First World War. He got shot in some way. He ended up on a nursing ship, which was, you know, the Titanic. There were 3 of them.
Do you know
Yes.
the Titanic?
Yes. I've heard of it.
There was the Titanic. Speaking of musicals, my last year of high school, I played Alice Bean in Titanic the musical.
Oh, yes.
And even
Who's
at the
Alice
time,
Bean?
she was like a second-class passenger, but she really wanted to be a first-class passenger. I was always sneaking around, like trying to get into the good dances.
That sounds
and my
like a
husband
bit of
was
comic
like very
relief.
bemused. And at the end, the bit where it's sinking, I had to kiss him and be like, because we would go on the lifeboats.
Yeah.
And I did my whole dramatic scene where I would come down, like I'd come down for the lifeboats, and I would kiss him and be like, I love you. And afterwards, everyone was like, you did a great job. Why does your husband hate you? I was like, we can't get into it. I don't know. He's very stressed about the role that he's playing. I can't. I'm doing my best with what I'm being given here.
Fill in your own backstory.
Yeah. But so there's the Titanic, and it had 2 sister ships, the Britannic and the Olympic, I think. And I think they both were also sunk. But at one point, my great-grandma was nursing Titanic survivors, and then one of the other ones, I think, was used as a nursing ship during the First World War. It was also torpedoed, and she had to like drag a bunch of soldiers to shore.
What? She was on the ship that was being torpedoed?
Yes.
Oh my lord.
I can't remember if she was on it when it was torpedoed or she was on land when it was torpedoed and she had to like go out and bring people in.
Oh my god.
But I was in the hospital last year, and I was getting a ketamine infusion where I had like a pump in my stomach. It was like on a constant supply of ketamine for a week straight, and everyone was like, and I was like, I'm having a very bad time, actually. This is no good. But like every few hours a nurse had to come in and like take my pulse and check my blood pressure, and I was like, I understand why all the soldiers fell in love immediately, because a beautiful woman just keeps coming in and holding my hand, and I'm high.
And she's saving your life.
Truly. And so he met her because he was injured and she was nursing, and so they met, and he was like, come to New Zealand with me. And so he had to go back to New Zealand first, and then she had to get like a boat that took 3 months or you know. And she got there, and she refused to get off the boat because the boat didn't go into land. It just stopped out in the middle of the bay, and they sent out like a cattle basket for her to get land.
Wait, what am I picturing?
Like kind of like a floating, trucks that have cows on them, like that, but to get them from the boat to the shore.
What? Yeah, that's undignified. I don't like that.
And so she was standing on the edge of the boat being like, absolutely not, I refuse.
I already traveled 3 months for a man. I'm not getting into a cattle basket.
Truly. And then they had to go and get him and be like, your wife is refusing to get off the boat. And he had to come to the beach to be like, get in the basket.
Okay, I love that though.
She was like, no. And he was like, how else are you going to get to shore? And he was like, all right.
That's so sweet.
I find it nice that he was at least inconvenienced enough that they had to go get him and bring him to land to the edge of the sea.
No, and she set the sort of the tone to how she wants to be treated.
I'm not coming to land alone.
Oh, I like that. That's
but also,
so sweet.
what was a sort of big room of recovering soldiers for you as a nurse, if not just like Tinder?
True. I mean, literally.
A sort of speed dating event.
This is what I'm saying. Previous to now, we've always just had events where everyone was in a room.
Well, in your case, everyone is always on a boat.
Always on a boat.
It really is very much the same generation
plane,
after generation.
Getting shot out of the sky, etc.
Do you have anything you would like to promote to our listenership?
I have not really. I have. I'll probably have work in progresses. Hopefully, at some point.
Plug your socials.
I have no gigs. Grace Jarvis. Oh no, on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and everywhere essentially. Yeah, that's basically it.
Amazing.
I'll be doing all the Australian comedy festivals next year, and yeah, if you book gigs, hit me up, I guess.
Yes.
Watch this space, baby.
I have no gigs. I've moved to a foreign country. Everyone's like, wow, she must be doing well. I'm not.
She's doing great. Okay. It's all about marketing. She's doing amazing. She's very in demand.
You're right.
Ask her to do your gigs. She might be available. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, Grace. I've been Olga Koch. This is Charlie Dinkin. This podcast has been produced by Ewan McAdam, and the music was written by
Ronan Shields.
Thank you very much.
Love
Bye.
that. Bye.